Welcome. So excited that all of you are here for today's masterclass. We are going to be talking all about LinkedIn. So, even if you're hopping on a few minutes late, we may have some people joining us later. Be ready. We're going to go quickly, but do be aware that there is a replay at the end. So, if you do miss anything, it's totally fine. You can catch the replay. And you can always follow up with questions too. So, throughout the presentation today, you will have opportunities to get your LinkedIn profile reviewed. They're going to be a couple, and you have to be paying attention because certain parts throughout the presentation, I'll say throw your link into the chat. So, wherever you are watching this from, you should have a chat available. If you do not, if you are on Facebook, you may have to give StreamYard permission to see you. So, make sure to give StreamYard permission so you can actually put your link into the chat there. But I should be able to see all your comments. If you're on YouTube, make sure you are logged in on YouTube. I have had people in the past who are not logged into YouTube and weren't able to put their comments into the chat. So wherever you are, make sure you're logged in and that StreamYard has permission. If you see a button there, give StreamYard permission. Go ahead and do that. All right, without further ado, we have a lot to cover today. I'm so excited that you're all here. It's Monday. It's kind of the slot I usually do Mondays with Mindy. And today we're talking all about LinkedIn profile hacks. So, as we're going, again, if you're joining us, hello, Alex. I see Natalie. I see Warren. See Kristen. Time to Rise. Amar. So excited that you're all here. Again, use the chat. Put your questions in there. If I don't get to them throughout the presentation, I will look through them and scroll through them at the end. So be aware that if you have questions, you don't want to forget them, just throw them into the chat. I will get to them at the end. All right. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Devin. Hi, Stephanie. Good to see all of you today. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to put my presentation up on screen. Please let me know if you can't see it in the chat. I think we're all good. Hi, Lolita. Hi, Deanna, Nancy. Awesome. All right, let's jump right in. So, we are talking about LinkedIn profile hacks that will actually help you land your next client or your next dream job. So, whatever that may be for you, the key is using your LinkedIn profile appropriately. Now, a lot of people, a big problem that happens is that we get all excited about LinkedIn and we start posting content or we start sending out connection invitations. But what we don't think about is our LinkedIn profile. And that really is the very first step on LinkedIn. Even if you are very advanced, even if you feel like, Mindy, I've been here a while, I worked on my profile a lot, let's come to this presentation today with fresh eyes because there's going to be some stuff in here that you probably have not thought of or heard before. So pay attention. Even if you feel like you're a LinkedIn whiz, great. If you feel like, Mindy, I don't know if I belong here, I'm like brand new to LinkedIn, I'm just trying to figure this out, you are also in the right place. So just settle in. If you're like me, I like to do pen and paper, or I actually have a full focus planner, which is like my favorite place to capture notes. Be prepared to capture notes. If you would like access to the presentation afterwards, I will make that available, but you will have to just request it from me, and I'm happy to share that. If you're like me, I like to take screenshots too. So feel free to screenshot your heart out and ask for the presentation afterwards if you are interested in that. All right, let's jump right in. So, what you will walk away with by the end of this action taker training, that is hard to say. This is what we're focusing on: 5 profile tweaks that you can make now to get real results on LinkedIn. Now, every single one of these things we're going to talk about is ready to implement. Like, as soon as we hop off this presentation, what I would love is for you to shoot me a DM later today saying, Mindy, I learned this one profile hack and I made this change on my profile. We are action takers. And when you actually put things into action, you will see results. But it's not enough to just sit here today, absorb all this wonderful information and not do anything about it. So the key is implementation. I did not make anything too complex that you can't actually implement it. So that's what I really want you to feel empowered, that you are going to get a quick win after today's presentation. So this is not just another fluffed up webinar with a pitch slap at the end. We've all sat through those. I get annoyed by them now. I've been through so many. So yes, there will be an opportunity to work with me, but what I really want you to focus on are these 5 profile hacks. I really want you to feel empowered that you can make changes on your profile. So, like I mentioned, you will get an opportunity if you're like, Mindy, I want more additional help. Great. If you're just here for a refresher, that's fantastic. Good, because you're going to have some fun in today's workshop. This is not about wasting time talking about working together, all that during the session. I really want to deliver the goods straight up front. So if you have to hop off early, that's fine. Pay attention for the time that you can be here. Come back to the replay if you need a refresher or want to walk through things again. Spoiler alert, this is really what having a great profile is all about. It is really there to do the talking and the selling for you. So you don't have to go out there and feel like you are spamming people, that you are just pitching all the time. That is a big mistake people make on LinkedIn, is that they don't create a great profile. So they do actually have to create really elaborate messages to get people's attention. Guess what? You don't have to do that. You can focus on the LinkedIn profile. So here are some examples of what other students who have actually taken action from this very training and what they've experienced. Adolpha, she was super, super excited and she was thrilled because she started getting more visits to her personal and her LinkedIn company page. So those were high priorities for her and making some changes to her LinkedIn profile. That's the key too. Your profile is search optimized. So if you have the right keywords in the right places, you will be found more often than many of your competitors or colleagues. Then there's Josh. And Josh, when we worked together, he was stoked because he was still pretty early in his career and he got a wonderful job working at Google, which is pretty awesome if you're a job seeker and looking for that next job. So, here are 3 must know things to be aware of as we get into today's teaching. If you're savvy with LinkedIn, kind of mentioned this earlier, you will notice that these are not basic things we're talking about that everyone already knows. These are true performance hacks. These are things that will actually move the needle on LinkedIn for you. Number 2, these tactics work whether or not you are in one type of business or you are a careerist or whether you are in a certain type of industry or niche or you have a varied levels of expertise or a very specific niche. These tactics will work for you because they are geared towards speaking to your target audience. So really considering what headspace your people are in when they are landing on your profile. And then number 3, if you ever plan to get new opportunities like a job or you want to get clients with LinkedIn, your profile is essential. You cannot find any professional who doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, can you? Like if I'm thinking of anyone that I respect in this space, all of them at least have a profile. The ones that I would think of that might not, maybe if you're in the FBI or some very closeted organization, okay, maybe you don't have a profile. But the rest of us in the real world all have profiles. It is critical that yours is reflective of where you are now and where you are headed. So, also, even if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, if you're like, Mindy, I'm new, I feel kind of intimidated, this is all brand new, or maybe it's barely there and you haven't used it much, that's totally fine because you are still in the right place. You're going to get a lot of value from this training because you'll get to do it right from the very start. You don't have to rework stuff you've already put effort into. You get a very fresh start and you'll see what a good LinkedIn profile looks like and how to make yours awesome. So, transitioning a little bit here, what is your LinkedIn profile really all about? Your profile is not about getting popular. Now, a lot of people think it is. They think it's a popularity contest. You hop onto LinkedIn, whoever gets the most followers wins, right? You get the most followers, you get the most opportunities. Not necessarily. So it is actually about opportunities. So it is about actual opportunities, whether you are a job seeker and you're looking for more opportunities so you can land your next dream job, or whether you are an entrepreneur or a consultant like me and you're looking for additional clients. It's about opportunities. I really don't care how popular I am. It's like, yeah, that's great and all, but it doesn't matter so much as the number of opportunities I'm getting from the relationships I'm building on LinkedIn. And opportunities, they come from what? Relationships. We know this. We've been in the business world. Most of us have been here a while. And we realize that it all comes back to the people that you know, the relationships that you nurture, and the people that you meet. And when you are on LinkedIn, when you are cultivating those relationships, the more relationships you build, the more opportunities you get. I know it's really simple. It's more relationships, more opportunities. So you have to get comfortable with starting new relationships and not just waiting for people to come to you. Your LinkedIn profile will help very much in this regard because it will give you confidence when you are approaching people you don't know. If your LinkedIn profile feels good to you, if you feel confident about what's there, you are going to be more likely to reach out to new people. If you are not feeling confident about your profile, you're kind of like, I hope the right people find me and I hope they can kind of navigate my profile and know that I'm actually really good at what I do. So you don't want to rely on hope. You want to rely on that confidence. And it's not that difficult to build confidence with your profile. And that's going to help you increase those opportunities. So, how do we actually increase opportunities? I get this question all of the time. Like, Mindy, I have a profile, I send out connections, I've been on LinkedIn a while, but I'm not really getting sales. Like there's these people that are talking about getting sales. How does that actually happen on LinkedIn? So, this is a mango tree. This used to be in my backyard. I'm not there anymore. Actually, I relocated, but I love this mango tree. And I like to think about my LinkedIn profile like this. It's like a mango tree. So, on a mango tree, every single part of that tree is essential to create the actual mangoes we love. Now, I don't know if you love mangoes, but mangoes are my favorite fruit. And since I've been back, I am actually in Chicagoland now. So I don't have this in my backyard and in my background. But I have been craving mangoes and I've been going to the store and getting lots of mangoes, but I miss the tree. Because with the tree, you can guess what happens when one part of the tree is missing. If you don't have branches, probably not going to have any mangoes. If you don't prune the branches, you're not going to have any mangoes. If it doesn't get enough sunlight or enough water, if it's not the right climate, you're not going to get any mangoes. And your LinkedIn profile is very similar to a mango tree. Your LinkedIn profile consists of several sections. I break it down into 7 to be exact. And each of these sections has a very specific role. So when they all work together, that's when we get the opportunities. But if you have a few sections that are off kilter, it's just like a tree. If you don't have the branches being healthy and the leaves are diseased, you're probably not going to get very many mangoes. And if your profile is not all put together and healthy, you are not going to get the number of opportunities. So the real question is, what happens when a section is missing? What if you're like, Mindy, I guess I don't really need that section. The about section is too difficult, or, I feel like I'm just bragging. I don't want to come across that way. You have to have all the sections. So it's figuring out how to make these sections work for you. And think about it. How many opportunities are you missing every single day because your profile is not put together? It could be a lot, right? So we will actually work the numbers because I like numbers. It's like, okay, this is great, Mindy. Okay, I get it. I have a LinkedIn profile. It's like a mango tree. I don't know if I like mangoes, but I get the analogy. So, how does this actually work in the real world? So, do you know how many opportunities you get from LinkedIn now? So, most people don't. Most people cannot point to LinkedIn and say, yep, I get 10 calls per month from LinkedIn. 5 of those turn into good opportunities for me, and 3 of those turn into new clients. Some of you may be able to do that. If you can, you are a superstar. That's awesome. So do start tracking that. But even if it was just one per month, just imagine if you can't point to any now, imagine that you were just getting one opportunity per month. Now imagine if you were to simply increase it to even 2 to 3 per month. That's 2 to 3 times what you were getting. And if you were at 0, that's a whole lot better than 0. So how do we actually get to that point? So let's look at some examples. So for example, if you are using LinkedIn and you want to get new clients using LinkedIn, let's say we're going to take a profile number 1 and profile number 2 and we're going to compare and contrast. So profile number 1, let's say you get 100 profile views per month. Now, if you're getting this right now, that's pretty standard. I would say most people who are somewhat active on LinkedIn are getting probably 85 to 100 per month. If you're above that, you probably are publishing some content and doing some other activities to get that many views, but 100 per month is pretty standard. Let's say from that, let's be generous. Let's say you're getting 1 sale per month. That's pretty awesome from 100 views per month. And let's say that the price point of that sale, it's worth $5,000 to you. Okay, great. So you are making $5,000 a month from your LinkedIn profile. Not too bad, right? Now let's go to profile number two. All right, let me go back to the other view. There we go. All right, so with profile number two, you are getting about 500 profile views per month. That's pretty awesome. I like that number. And let's say from those 500, you're getting three sales per month. That's not too bad, right? And again, same price point, $5,000. You can do the math here, easy peasy. Total sales, $15,000. All right, so big difference between the two profiles. And that's what you need to realize when you are approaching LinkedIn. Some people are just not aware of the numbers, and they just don't realize how valuable their LinkedIn profile is. And you're missing massive opportunity here by not optimizing your profile. Those profile views do come from an optimized profile. Yes, content can help. Yes, sending connection invitations can help, but it all starts with your profile. Now, let's talk about those of you who are looking for a dream job. I know there's been a lot of transition in the job market lately, and a lot of people have been coming to me asking for help on their profile, and some of you may be in that boat. So, let's say profile number one. Again, let's go with the 100 per month. And let's say you're getting about one interview per month from those 100 views. Job offers, okay, let's 0 to 1 per month. And then how long is it going to take you to land a job? Most of the time, you are not accepting the very first job offer. So let's say 3 to 6 months. Okay. Now let's look at profile number two. Again, 500 per month. Interviews, probably around four per month. Job offers, let's say around two per month. So how long will it take you to land your job in this scenario? 1 to 2 months. Major difference. All right. So, and just imagine, I think, not just the revenue, but also like the self confidence that comes with having enough interviews, moving through that process quickly, and transitioning to your next role. Very, very powerful and a much better experience than the person who is out of work for 3 to 6 months. All right. So, these LinkedIn profile hacks that we are about to talk through, they're created to increase your opportunities. This is not, like I mentioned earlier, this is not about getting popular because when you increase opportunities, you automatically increase sales or you land that dream job, you get more interviews. So, we are going to jump right into these hacks. And as you pay attention, listen for the final one because just after my student Maria implemented this, she was asked to send a proposal ASAP to her first Fortune 500 client. So the last one is really, really good. And a lot of people use it and some people don't, and they don't know how to use it well. So do pay attention for that one. All right, let's jump right in. LinkedIn profile hack number one, add your personal audio intro. Now you see that little arrow that's pointing to my speakerphone. If you click that, you will hear a little message from me. You will hear my voice. It will sound very similar to what you're hearing now. And that actually creates a relationship with people who don't know me. It also tells people how to say my name. It's not that hard, but I've had a lot of people say, is it Mindy Roser or how do you say your last name? So it lets people pronounce my name appropriately. LinkedIn created this section with name pronunciation in mind. So make sure if you're going to use it that you do say your first and last name here. Now, if you have a common name, most people probably know how to say it still. Regardless, say your name here. Make sure that's part of the name pronunciation. But this is such a good opportunity to actually connect with your audience and with people who are coming to your profile. So, what you'll want to do here, if you want to add a personal audio intro, you will want to set a timer for 5 minutes. Don't spend forever doing this. Set a timer for 5 minutes. You'll be able to finish it within that time period. Then choose a greeting for your intro. I think if you listen to mine now, it says aloha because at the time I was in Hawaii. I'm actually going to re record it with an intro that is not so Hawaii flavored. And that's because you want to let people know who you are, where you are. This is a really subtle way to start connecting with people. Then you will want to say your name. So, again, like I said, make sure to pronounce your name here. The name pronunciation is important. Then you're going to let people know, first of all, who you are. So, who you are is kind of like what your job title is, what people would refer to you as. And then, secondly, whom you help. So this is your target audience. Who do you work with? What types of people? Do you work with individuals? Do you work with corporations? Do you work with SMBs? Do you work with specific industries? Let people know, because this will immediately create a connection. It will also help people know that you are the right person to connect with and that you are the right person to get to know. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to think about one call to action. And do you want them to either connect with you or do something else? I usually recommend ending with something like, let's connect, because it's very straightforward. It lets people know you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. So once you're ready, once you're like, okay, Mindy, I feel pretty confident. I got my script. Some people like to write it out or type it out so they can read it. Others like to just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. Whichever way works for you, go with it. Then you're going to go to your mobile device. You will have to do this from your phone. So do keep that in mind to record. And then make sure to keep it to less than 10 seconds, because if it is longer than 10 seconds, LinkedIn will cut you off. So you can update it at any time. So anytime that you feel like, I feel like it should be updated, like I would like to update mine now because I've recently relocated. So it is time for me to update mine. And it's really good because if you ever are promoting things, you can actually change this. If you're doing a masterclass, like if I was trying to promote this masterclass on LinkedIn, I might do a specific one just for that masterclass. If you are trying to talk to a different target audience or you have a new offer, these are all very subtle things that you could include in this audio introduction. So, my challenge to you is to do the audio introduction. Do this right after this session because it will make a world of difference and it's kind of fun. All right. So, on the topic of selling and sales and opportunities, I did want to point out that I'm not a salesperson. Like, I'm a marketer for sure. I don't really enjoy sales, but we both know it's important to always be open to opportunities. So, I like to look at it like this: I can't dance. If you've ever seen me dance, which you won't, because I just don't, but I don't have to be a dancer to do Zumba. I can go to a Zumba class and feel like I know exactly what moves to do, and I can feel very, very confident and have a lot of fun. Because when you just follow the instructor's moves, you can dance. Like anyone can dance, anyone can do Zumba. So it's only when you don't have a routine and you're trying to figure it out all by yourself that you get stuck. And how long does that take? How long would it take me to figure out how to choreograph a routine? A very long time, and I would get frustrated and quit. So the key here is the takeaway is LinkedIn is for opportunities. And when you know what to do on LinkedIn, when you feel confident that you're doing the right things, you can move through LinkedIn with ease and generate those opportunities. And that audio introduction we just talked about is one really easy way to not be salesy, but to start letting people know more about you to attract the right people. All right, so let's hop into LinkedIn profile hack number 2. So I call this the hooking with your headline. So if you aren't sure what the headline is that area that is right underneath your name. And many people use this section well, and many people do not. So the major mistake here is that you either list everything you do, like all of the things, or you put nothing in your headline and it feels a little bit vague. So the key with your headline is to get just the right amount of who you are, what you do, who you help into this section. And you don't want it to feel like it's too many things. Like sometimes people will put like 10 different roles or 10 different titles because they're trying to optimize for keywords. You want to be really, really thoughtful and not take people in too many different directions. So you do want to pay attention to your headline. Make sure it's not vague, where there's not much there, but you also want to make sure it doesn't feel too wordy. So, with your headline, most people will just list their job title and company name. Unless you've been to a LinkedIn training and some LinkedIn expert told you to do otherwise, most people just kind of default, okay, here's my job title, here's the company. And then they wonder why they don't stand out in a crowd of people who do what they do. So, you're not standing out. Nobody's really seeing your profile. You're not getting many profile views. So, one simple fix here is to craft a headline that actually grabs attention. So you're trying to hook people, you're trying to get them interested. And that is really the key with this section. Plus, when you do this well, you will actually be optimizing your headline for search engines, which is awesome because that's where you start getting profile views and people coming to your profile, discovering you and saying, oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know you did this. Or they may discover you that way because some people do start searches and they may not know you, but they will type in keywords and that will lead them to you. So when they find you, are they going to be interested? Are you able to hook them with that headline? So your LinkedIn headline is your very first impression. It's the very first thing people think about on LinkedIn when they see your name. So you want to make sure it's good. If you can see the slide here, we have Mr. Tim. I'm sorry, Tim, hopefully you're not here today, but his headline is not that great because it literally tells us he is the head of growth and he's a co founder and he's hiring, but there's not much else. We don't know much about him. We don't know anything outside of these organizations that he works for and his job titles. Ideally, we want to know more about Tim. We want to see a little bit of personality. We also want to know a little bit more about who he helps and what he does. So it is key when you are thinking about your LinkedIn headline. Take a screenshot of this or write it down. The four things that need to be a part of your LinkedIn headline: who you are. So, this is your job title. This is what people would call you. This is what you call yourself. Do not get too clever here. On that note, some people will get very clever and put together a creative title, but if no one knows what it means, it's not going to be helpful. So make sure you don't make it too clever. And then you want to say whom you help. So this is the type of people that you work with. This is your, if you have more than one audience, which many people do have more than one target audience, you would list your two target audiences here. If you have like three or four target audiences, don't put them all here. Focus on the one or two that matter the most to you right now on LinkedIn. Then you want to talk about how you help them. So, what do you actually do? What is it that you deliver to clients? What is it that you do for companies or organizations? Talk a little bit about that. And again, in this section, like the rule of threes, if you've heard of that in writing, it's kind of like if you do three different things, you can say, I help organizations to create marketing plans, hone their business strategy, and meet KPIs. I mean, that's not the best headline, but you can see that you can talk about three different ways that you help them. So that can be a good way to get in a lot of keywords in a very tiny space. Also, you can talk about the results that you generate. So, in working with you or in hiring you, what are they going to get as a result? Because when they know what they're going to get, they're going to be a little bit more inclined to reach out to you. So be confident here. What type of results will people get in working with you? Talk about that in your headline when it makes sense. One caveat on the results you generate, you just want to make sure you don't sound salesy or spammy. I have seen people make very bold claims in their headline. You don't want it to feel like a sales page. You want it to feel like the results that you generate. You don't want it to be like, oh, there's this. Hold on one second. Okay. Audio is going off. So with the results you generate, you don't want it to feel salesy or spammy. You want it to feel authentic and you want it to resonate with your target audience. All right, so here are some sample headlines, and these are really good to just kind of get a sense of what we're going for here. All right, so we have Garth, and Garth is a financial services executive. And what does he do? He helps business leaders to find purpose and fulfillment in their marketplace calling. He is also the author of More Than Your Business Card. So you can see we talk about two different roles or kind of two different who he is here. He's a financial services executive. He's also an author. And you can see how we separate them with that line. It just flows very well and it's also not too wordy. And he speaks exactly to his target audience. Then let's look at Chris. So Chris is a content and learning expert, also an L&D leader helping tech companies, talked about the rule of threes, create unique content, skill-based learning programs, and scale high-performing teams. So that's a good way to get in lots of good juicy keywords using that rule of threes there. Then we have George, and George is a B2B sales effectiveness pioneer who is on a mission to elevate the sales profession with technology and partnerships. So he takes a little bit of a different spin. He is definitely more on the thought leadership end of the spectrum, which is reflected in his headline. All right, so I told you to have your LinkedIn profiles handy. So this is time for a review. So I am going to review your LinkedIn headline. I'm going to look through. I'll give you like a 30, 60 seconds or so to pop in your LinkedIn links into the chat. So hopefully you're in the chat. If you want your LinkedIn profile reviewed, I'm going to review a lucky person right now. And I will actually share my screen and show your LinkedIn profile, and we will go through it, and I will share some tips in like 60 to 90 seconds on things that you can improve. So feel free to pop your LinkedIn profile in the chat. Oh, I'm seeing a couple. All right, awesome. Jackie, Suzanne, I'll give a couple more seconds here. All right, I see Brad. And if I don't get to yours, there will be another opportunity. All right, let's go with, let's see. We're going to go with Suzanne. So, Suzanne, you are the lucky winner for this one. I think I have your profile right here. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. And let's see here. And let's take a look at your profile. All right. All right. I think we can all see it. Yes. Awesome. All right, Suzanne. All right. So Suzanne, I really like your profile in like the top section where you have like the content marketing made simple. I think that's brilliant. And I think it also has a little bit of verbiage, but it's not too much. And I like the copywriter, content manager, and then your name is there. I think your name, it's a little bit repetitive, but I think it's fine. And I like how it's not taking away from your image. It's not too busy of a background in that header area. Your headshot is great. I like your headshot. Another option you could also try, not so black and white, and maybe try, and just see which one you like best. But I think it goes nicely with kind of the black and white, and then your headshot with the header image behind it. So very nicely done. Then looking here at your headline, again, I would play with that LinkedIn formula for this section. So the headline formula, because you have content writer, content strategist, systems nerd. And I think just playing with that a little bit, get in your target audience. Because when I see content writer, I'm like, what type of content do you write? There's a lot of content writers out there. So I think getting very, very specific about your target audience right here will be helpful. And I think content strategist is also important to include because you do the writing and you do the strategy. So make that very, very clear. And I think that could also go into what you do and how you're helping your target audience. And then systems nerd, I think is just kind of fun. So I like that with the emoji there. I like that you have LinkedIn creator mode turned on. You have your hashtags here. You could also add two more if you wanted to. Maybe put content writing. Maybe you already have content strategy, but just think through some other hashtags because you can have up to 5 in this section. And then kind of scrolling on down, looking at your followers, you'll definitely want to get those up to 500, 500 plus. So continue reaching out and connecting with people on LinkedIn. It's great that you're already active on LinkedIn because I can see some activity here. Continue doing that too. I think stay active enough where people will come to your profile and see, oh, you're actually on LinkedIn. You're not just a profile here and you don't just post and ghost. You're actually engaging with people. Then looking at your about section, we're going to talk about this next, but you'll definitely want to add a little bit more in your about section, which is going to be fun. So we will talk about that very shortly, but the about section is a gold mine where you can add a lot of context and let people know a little bit more about who you are. Then with your experience section here, what I would do is I would actually create a LinkedIn page for your company. Even if you're like a freelancer, you can still have a LinkedIn page. To do that, you would go to work, and then right down here, you would see create a company page. So once you click that, it'll take you through some steps and you'll be able to create a page. If you don't have a logo, just make one up in Canva, which is canva.com, canva.com. It's free. I would just create like a very simple logo to use for that page, but it makes your business look legitimate. And then when people see it connected here, they go, oh, you have a company. Oh, all right. That's how I can work with you. And then with the description here, I feel like this is pretty good. What I would do is I would write it in first person. It does make it feel a little bit more personal. So I would just kind of rework this a little bit. It would also be nice to know if you have any samples or any portfolio items, you could also include them underneath that section. And that would be a great thing to do. Then with your skills, you have up to 50 that you can use. So I would use all 50. Right now you have 35. That's great. As you kind of go along, or you could look at other content writers, content strategists to get more skills. That will be helpful as well. So hopefully that's kind of helps you kind of get started in the right direction. But your profile looks great. I think the top portion, especially, I think it's just kind of fleshing it out as you go. And if you have any prior experiences that you want to include on your profile, go ahead and do that too. It's okay to have past work history, even if it's not exactly aligned with what you do now. It helps people know where you came from. So, okay, awesome, Suzanne. I'm glad you enjoyed those tips. We are going to hop back in because we're going to talk about the about section next. So, let me share my screen again here. And all right. So get ready. If you didn't get into this one, there will be an opportunity or two more where you can get your profile reviewed. Okay. So LinkedIn profile hack number 3. We started talking about this in Suzanne's profile. You want to tell your story in the about section. So the about section is, like I said, a gold mine for being able to express yourself, to talk a bit more about your work history, to let people know who you are, showcase a little bit of your personality. Now, the about section can also feel really scary because it's 2,600 characters that you could potentially use here, which feels like a lot of talking about yourself. And I get that because I don't really like talking about myself either, but it is a little bit of a necessary evil. But not evil, really. It's a necessary, how should I say it? It's definitely necessary from a search perspective because you want people to understand who you are, kind of get engaged in your story. All right, so with the about section, one big misconception here is that people don't read it. So I'll get the caveat all the time, like, Minnie, but nobody actually reads that, do they? I'm like, well, they don't read it verbatim, but they scan it. So that's what you want to be paying attention to when you're thinking about your about section. It needs to be easily scannable. So when people come to your profile and they can scan it easily, they go, oh, that's who you are. That's what you do. And they're going to look for keywords that interest them. So you want to make sure that it's easy to read. You don't want big blocky paragraphs because that's just overwhelming to the eye. Easily scannable so people can find what they want to find. So, yes, you are totally right. Most people don't read it word for word, but they do skim for those highlights. If they don't see what they were hoping to find, are they going to connect with you? Maybe, but maybe not, because they're going to assume that you don't help the type of people that they are. So that's why you want to have a completely optimized about section. So, what does a completely optimized about section look like? Here's an example, and I know it's really, really tiny on the screen, but you can see that it is easily scannable. You'll see there are also some emoji woven throughout, which makes it easy to read. There's some certifications, there's some contact info, there's a little bit of that you can see the cool text like freedom. You see it looks like a different type of text. That is a really cool tip. And it is called Yay Text. So like Yay, YAY text.com. And it's a really great place if you want to get creative with your text on LinkedIn. That's the tool I use. And that will give you that cool freedom look. And then you'll also see that it is very short paragraphs. So as you're scanning it, you go, oh, okay, I see freedom, one to one personal development programs. She works with clients. I see burnout, stressed, overwhelmed, mission, empowering doctors. Okay, doctors, executives. Let's connect. If you want to work with me, book a call here. So I can easily see within 15 seconds all of the words that I'm looking to see if this person would actually be somebody I'd want to work with. And if I am their target market. So this is key. So let people know who you are in the about section. Tell a little bit of a story. So if you're curious about how to open this section, a really good opener is a question. So asking a question. So something that is top of mind for your audience, something that they're thinking about, something that you can answer, or a profound statement. So you could lead with something like a statistic. Some people have a very shocking statistic and they will lead with that. You could also start this section by telling a story. So, start telling a story about maybe a client that you worked with or telling about your journey. Sometimes you can add a little bit of spice here with your story and your background. And then with the about section, ending it. So we're not going to talk about everything that goes in the middle. I kind of briefly went over that, but we want to talk about the end. So the end, you need a call to action. So you want to call out your target audience here and you want to ask them to connect. That is key. So call to action. And you'll hear me talk about this later today too, because we're going to talk about other places to put calls to action. But adding a call to action on your profile in the about section is just a really good best practice. Now, I've had some people say, well, Mindy, I have too many spammers sending me connection invitations. I don't really want to ask them to connect. You're not. You're asking your audience to connect. And so you can ignore the spammers, but do let your audience know that you are open to connecting with them here on LinkedIn. That is a really, really good thing to do. Here's a good example too, if you want to look at another profile that does this well and uses the storytelling approach. Chris Edwards, he's an executive creative director, and he is actually the one that came up with the "Give Me Back That Fillet of Fish," if you remember that jingle from McDonald's, "Give Me That Fish." And so he actually leads with that as his hook for his storytelling aspect to his about section. And so with him, he was really focused on creating an about section that told his story and also capitalized on his motivational speaking and his portfolio of work. And then after dialing in his profile, he added some visual elements. His profile is very visual if you look at it. He actually landed an opportunity at a company he loves, and he's been there for a few years now. So it's really, really important that you tell your story, that your about section accurately reflects who you are right now as a professional, who you work with, and where you are headed. So tell your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story in this section as well. All right, on the topic of calls to action, LinkedIn profile hack number 4, sprinkling of the calls to action. I love calls to action, but I like good ones. So I like them in the right places. So as you can see here, you see that big blue arrow pointing to "Get My LinkedIn Profile Guide." So that is a call to action. That's an example of one place that you can put a call to action on your profile. If you go to your contact info section at the top of your profile, you scroll down, it'll say add your website here, add a URL, and you can put some text in there. That's how you get that on your profile. Some people will just literally put the link to their website, which is really boring. Link to something good. Like, what would your audience be excited about? You can also use this section to promote if you do master classes and you're a consultant, you can put a link to book a call here. You can put a link to come to a master class or a consulting call, or if you have a really good guide, anything like that would be fantastic to put in this section. So, where else can you add calls to action? Because there are a number of places you can put them on your profile, but you want to do it in a good way. So, optimizing your LinkedIn profile with opt ins is a really good way to almost take your LinkedIn profile and turn it into a funnel of sorts. So, you want to know where to add these because if you put them in the wrong places, it will look really spammy. So, we're going to talk through a few places where you can add these and feel comfortable and confident adding them. You also want to match your opt ins to your audience. Think about your LinkedIn audience, not just your audience. Some people have a very broad audience. They're like, "Mindy, everybody can be my client." I'm like, okay, well, think about your LinkedIn audience, narrow it down, and really match your opt ins to them. Also, consider designing a lead magnet for LinkedIn only for your LinkedIn audience. This is what I did with my LinkedIn profile guide. I made sure that that really resonated with my LinkedIn audience because obviously I'm a LinkedIn person on LinkedIn and I have a LinkedIn profile guide. Okay. That all makes sense. It is a natural extension of what I do. So, the beauty of adding calls to action on your profile is you set it and forget it. Like, you don't have to update them all the time. I tend to update mine probably every month or two, thereabouts, whenever I'm doing something new or pushing something else, or have a new service or offering, or I've done a new speaking engagement I want to promote, or I created a new lead magnet, but you don't have to do it all the time. So, you will need some profile views to get enough people to opt in. That's why getting those profile views is important. That's why you need to optimize for search. Because if you have all these beautiful calls to action on your profile, but nobody's coming to your profile, okay, they're not doing much good. So you want a blend of profile views and also calls to action so people know what to do next once they land on your profile. Get creative. Have some fun with your opt in placement. And when you understand where people are looking, hence the little lizard here showing us with his eyes, where are people looking on your profile? That will help you understand where to put your calls to action. So we're going to look at some examples of, I call them call to action sprinkles. It's like sprinkles on the cake. So where can you add them? So publications, if you have a podcast, if you have a show, if you have a book, if you write a blog, if you have a newsletter, any of those things are technically publications. So you can put them on your profile and put them in the publication section. This is not going to be as flashy as some of the other sections, but it's a really good place to show people, oh, this is my longer form content. This is where you can connect with me. This is where you can learn about me. These are things that I have published. Then you can also use the featured section. My favorite This is near the top of the profile, and it is also very visual. So you can see I have very bright colors in this section. There's me on camera, there's an article. Everything is bright though and colorful. It kind of matches my brand and how I want people to perceive me. So when you're thinking about what to do in your featured section, you can do all sorts of things. We're not going to go too deep here, but you can put posts here, you can put videos, your lives, your LinkedIn newsletter, you can do free downloads, sign up for your masterclass, whatever you would like can go in your featured section. I like a mix of video and media and different types of content here. It helps people feel like they can get to know you in the way that they consume media. So have a good mix there. Then you'll see contact info. A lot of people forget about the contact info section. So you can have websites. You see under websites, I have blog, I have my podcast, and I have another guide, which is another opt in, which is where the arrow is pointing. So use your contact info section. Some people will not use this section because it's not so flashy, but a lot of people who are visiting your profile will go straight for contact info. So make sure that you have a phone number there, that you have your email address there, that there are ways for people to reach you. Make sure that the email address listed here is the one you want professionals to reach out to you on. Sometimes we have an old one here, so do just give it a look and see if you need to update it. Also, your experience section. So you can see under the experience section, you can change these up. Mine change up all the time. So with these pieces of media that are underneath my experience section, you can see I have, oh, there's my membership, there's the LinkedIn Accelerator, there's some testimonials. You could put downloads here, you can put your boot camp here, you can promote all sorts of things under this section as well. So keep that in mind when you are putting things on your profile. Think strategically. Put a mix. Don't put the same thing everywhere. Try to keep it interesting for people so they can pick and choose what interests them. Give people a lot of different ways to get to know you, and you will notice your LinkedIn profile will be converting more people. All right. So, when it comes to calls to action, one word on this. Too many people put them in the wrong places, which makes them look really salesy. You've probably seen this too, where it feels like, oh my gosh, are you just talking about yourself everywhere on your profile? Like, what's in it for me? I'm your audience. So, how are you going to help me? So, you want to make sure that you use calls to action, but don't make them too salesy. But you also want to make sure that you are not avoiding calls to action completely. And I've seen people on both ends of the spectrum. So you want to find a healthy balance for you and for your audience. I'm a marketer. So people expect to see a lot of calls to action on my profile. If you are not a marketer, then maybe you don't want to have as many calls to action, but you should have at least a few ways for people to get to know you, for people to reach out to you. If you're a job seeker, obviously you're not trying to get people to a masterclass, but you do want them to be able to find your portfolio, to find your resume, to be able to get in touch with you, to book an interview. All of these things are very important. So we all need calls to action. It's just figuring out what your audience wants to see and then making it easy for them to find that information. Great calls to action tell people what to do next. So think about your audience. What do you want them to do next? Do you want them to talk to you? Do you want them to DM you? Do you want them to download a piece of content, listen to your podcast? Whatever that is, drive them that direction and make sure it is very easy for them to figure out what they should do next. Because calls to action, good ones, they do the hard work for you because they are always working on your behalf to attract those opportunities. So you don't have to. You don't have to pitch people as much when you have lots of good calls to action on your profile. All right. And then profile hack number 5, racking up the social proof. This is important. I love this picture of this little dog. It's so cute. So racking up the social proof is critical on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is based on relationships. And remember, relationships lead to opportunities. So you need that social proof. So what is the deal when it comes to recommendations? We're talking about LinkedIn recommendations. Do they actually count? Think about it. Do you think that counts? Do you look at recommendations on people's profiles? I do a lot, especially if it's somebody I don't know. And I scroll down to their recommendation section. And if there are recent recommendations within the past few years, I'm like, okay, if it's related to what they're doing now, I will read through them. And hearing other people talk about somebody I'm interested in and reading those recommendations helps me understand a bit more about the social proof this person has, especially if I haven't heard about them before. So your recommendations matter a lot. If you have no recommendations, you don't have as much trust on LinkedIn. So, really work to get recommendations. You must build social proof on LinkedIn. And this is one of the ways it is done. If you don't have a ton of connections yet, one way to shortcut the process is to get a few friends or a few colleagues or people you've worked with in the past to write you a recommendation. And you should be writing them recommendations too, because that is what actually helps people learn to trust you. And if you have few connections, but you have really solid 2 to 3 solid recommendations on your profile, people are going to look. They're going to pay attention. If they get that far in your profile because you've hooked them in the headline, you told them a great a story in the about section, and they get to the recommendations and they see that social proof, it's like, okay, how do I work with you? How do I hire you? How do I talk to you? You seem like somebody I should know. If you have fewer than 500 connections and no recommendations, they are going to be very unlikely to trust you. And they're going to probably look at a competitor who has a little bit more social proof. So if you're at the early stages, that's okay. Recommendations will help you a ton. Just get one or two. And if you have some testimonials, a lot of you have businesses, a lot of you are entrepreneurs. You've probably been collecting testimonials and putting them on your website. Reach out to those same people and ask if they would publish the same copy that they gave you through LinkedIn and give you a recommendation. That's a really easy way to get started in this area. So it is a no brainer. You cannot ignore this section, especially if you want leads, if you want clients, or you want to get that dream job. And your LinkedIn recommendations attract those new opportunities. They are gold. They are like doing the selling for you. It's just like when you go to somebody's well-written sales page and they have, a bazillion videos of all these wonderful results that this person has helped them to accomplish. It's like you pay attention, even if you're like, it's a little too many. You're still going to look because that person has gone through all that effort to help these people achieve something professionally. So your recommendations matter and people see the first three. So make sure the first three are really good or the ones that you want to showcase. You can also toggle them on and toggle them off too along the way. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going. One rule of thumb here, you want to give twice as many recommendations as you want to get in a year. So, again, have that go giver mentality. This is not just about collecting recommendations and not giving. People can see how many recommendations you have given and how many you have received. If you have not given any and you've received a lot of them, it's going to look a little unbalanced. So, make sure you give a recommendation. And a really good way to show gratitude after this workshop is think about one person that you have worked with recently, the past 6 months, that you could actually go to their profile, write a recommendation, and go ahead and give it to them without asking for anything in return. How good is that going to feel? Pretty awesome, right? So it's a really good practice also if you are going to ask for a recommendation to give them one in advance and then, do the ask and just make sure that you are doing it in an appropriate way. You don't want this to feel salesy or desperate. You want to make sure that you are giving first. And if it makes sense and they feel comfortable and want to, reciprocate, fantastic. Otherwise, see if there are other people. Sometimes a good way to start this also is if you are in, like some people are in these accountability pods, or you have some friends or colleagues, and maybe you could all write one for each other just to kind of kickstart the process. That can work well. Just make sure that whatever you write is accurate and that you are not, making things up along the way. Obviously, you want to be in integrity when it comes to recommendations. So let's take a look at some recommendations that convert. So we've got Abby. I'm not going to read through these, but if you want to see these, you can actually go look at my profile and you will see all of these recommendations there. But when you are thinking through recommendations and the type of format, you want to make sure it's easily scannable. So you can see that the paragraphs are all relatively short. They're not too long. Some of them are a little blockier than others, but just make sure that you include the right keywords, that you focus on the skills, that you are thinking about the relationships and the collaboration. And if you are writing one for somebody, it's a really good idea to ask them what they would like to have included so you can write that accurately and they are happy with the result as well. So you can use these as templates. If you're like, Mindy, I don't know how to write a recommendation, go look at my profile. I've received a number of good ones too. So look at the ones I've received and also the ones I've given, and you'll kind of see my style and how I give recommendations and the type of format that I like to use as well. So recommendations are huge. Okay, Now I know we are almost at time. So, who else wants a review? I know some of you put your, let's see, put your LinkedIn profiles earlier. So, please put your profiles if anybody else wants a review. We will do one more. So, feel free to put your profile if you are here. Put your profile link in the chat and I will pick one to review and then we will go through some questions. So, awesome, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Jackie, I saw you first. Okay, I'm going to do Jackie's. All right, Jackie, let me grab yours. And if anybody has to hop off at the top of the hour, that's completely fine. There will be a replay. So I know we will be going a little bit over today. So if you want to stick around because we'll have some fun. But let me type in Jackie Meeks. There we are. All right. I've got you, Jackie. Let me put you up on the screen here. All right. Stop that screen. And share this one. All right. Okay, Jackie, let's check yours out. Nice. Okay, so Jackie, I like your branding at the top. And it feels very much aligned with like your brand and the colors and even what you're wearing in your headshot. It all kind of flows together. I really, really like it. And you take a different approach too, I think, with your headshot. With like you have like a notepad, it looks like in your hand. I'm like, ooh, all right. Like taking notes. I really, really like that approach. It's fresh and it's interesting. So header and headshot look great. This headline here, I think it's interesting. Like I think it's a really good headline, but I don't know exactly what the little things in your business are. And like, okay, I kind of get what you're coming at and coming from, but what types of little things? What types of business owners do you work with? Do you work with entrepreneurs? Do you work with, small, medium sized businesses? Do you work with, like what types, what industries? That's all stuff that I want to know when I'm looking at your headline. It may be below, but I don't see it immediately. So you want to have it immediately would be ideal. Then scrolling on down with your about section, you use emoji, which I like. And I love it. You do start with the questions like we talked about. Are you looking to grow and scale your business and still have more time for yourself? What is your vision for your life? These are great examples. Good job, Jackie. This is a great example of starting your about section focused on your audience and leading with really, really good questions that get people to think. Now, one thing I might consider is maybe streamlining 3 questions into like 1 or 2 questions, just because it's a lot of questions when people do come to this area. So just kind of keep that in mind because you actually have like 4 questions here. So maybe streamline this to like two questions, I think would be ideal. And then you also have a little bit more room for storytelling in this section. And it is, you're talking about B2B business owners. So I think the B2B business owners with, this number of employees, I would probably call them small, small B2B business owners. You can actually put that up here in your headline area. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. And then adding the call to action, like we talked about down here, would be great. Also go through this section for keywords. Like what keywords and key phrases would people be searching for when they're looking for you, because that will help them to find you, first of all. All right. And looking at your followers, you've already got 619. So you're above that 500, which is great. I think continue to grow that. And you want to get to that probably next mark. I'm thinking like 1,000 would be fantastic. So continue to grow your network. And like I mentioned earlier on Suzanne's profile, if you want to create a page for your business, that would be great because it looks like you have one here, but it's not really connected. So if you can combine these or make these a little bit more connected, I'm not sure if the freelance copywriting is with the Kazaya coaching and consulting or if they're 2 different things. So I think just think through what your audience would be looking for here. And does it make sense to keep these separate or put them together underneath the same company? Some ideas could go into that as well. And then I would add small, like high level overviews, descriptions underneath each of these experiences. That will help people understand what you did in each role. And then I'm curious. It's like, okay, you're an MRI technologist and then you switch to become a founder. And like, ooh, what was that journey? Like, how did that happen? I think that would be really interesting to tell in your about section. So when people come to this section, they can see, oh, okay, that all makes sense. She started here and now she's here. Then with your education, that looks great. You have stuff in the volunteer, which I love. A lot of people don't add things to the volunteer section. It is a good idea to have two, three things here, even if they're older volunteer experiences. So I really like that. Skills, again, you can use all 50. So start thinking through other keywords that might be good to include in your skills section. And then you have recommendations. Woohoo! You have like 2020 and 2021. It would be ideal to get one for 2023. A good idea of recommendations to get per year is usually like 1 to 2 per year is really, really good. So if you can get 1 to 2 new recommendations every single year, that is ideal. And then you have stuff under publications. Fantastic. I know it's related to like the MRI stuff, but I think that's really good to have here too. It just shows, I think, your credibility in the space. And then courses are here. Awesome. So I think your profile looks pretty good. I think it's just focusing on the top section. I think the experiences, the about section, telling your story, because I'm curious, how you switched careers. I'm like, okay, I want to know more about that. And then your headline. So overall, looking really good. And as you have content, create a featured section, I think would be fantastic. So adding that to your profile as well. So awesome. And thanks for letting us look at your profile and share with us. All right, we are going to switch back to the presentation here, and we are almost there. All right, go back to my other slides here. Stop screen. All right, one moment here. All right. Okay, so we pretty much went over the 5 different LinkedIn profile hacks, which was a lot. And I know we're at time. So if anybody has to hop off, thank you for being here. You can catch the rest of the replay. But for those of you who are still here, would you like me to help you create your LinkedIn profile and networking framework as quickly as possible? So, yes, this is where we're talking about how we could possibly work together. So, we are talking about the LinkedIn profile and how important it is to get it right. So, option one is you can take today's workshop and just say, okay, Mindy, I got it. I'm going to make these, 5 LinkedIn profile hacks and I'm off to the races and I'll call it good there and try to figure out the rest along the way. Or option two, you can 100% commit to optimizing your LinkedIn profile and building your network using a proven roadmap. Remember those numbers that we talked about earlier with profile views and the 2 different types of profiles and how cool it was to watch, like, okay, one sale is like $5,000 a month, and then, 3 sales, $15,000 a month. That's a really big difference by simply making an adjustment to your LinkedIn profile and turning it into somewhat of a funnel that is working on your behalf. So if you're excited about this, you're like, Mindy, yeah, I'm curious about working together. What would that look like? You are invited to the LinkedIn Accelerator. So what is it? The LinkedIn Accelerator is a 5-day sprint, which is working with me directly in a very small group. And we are focused 100% on optimizing your LinkedIn profile to get you ready to land your next opportunity. So by the end of our week together, you will have all of the elements of your LinkedIn profile ready to go live. So the goal is during that week, get all of the elements together, understand all of those sections, really nail that about section that people are always so worried about, using step by step templates and working together as a team. So here's what you will get inside the accelerator. So we talk about crafting a compelling profile. So really going through all 7 sections, like I talked about, and then jazzing up your profile visually. So, how do you make it really interesting? When you land on the profile, it looks beautiful, it looks put together, you know where everything goes and how to update it. Also, step by step instructions. So, what should you update and where? How do you actually update it? LinkedIn can be a little wonky sometimes with just figuring out where things go on the profile. Also, you'll get direct feedback on every single part of your profile from me. So I will actually review your profile with you. I will do a video review before and after. If you would like, we have hot seats also as part of the LinkedIn Accelerator. You will also discover who belongs inside your network. So who actually should be inside your network, who shouldn't be. And then we will also talk about crafting LinkedIn connection invitations that convert, which is really fun because once you have your LinkedIn profile done, then you are ready to start building that network with the right people in a way that feels good. No salesy, no spammy. And then finding people who would love to join your network. So attracting the right people on your profile to join your network. So here's how it's broken up. So, day one, we focus on creating your compelling LinkedIn profile opening. So, we get laser focused on your profile opening. So, that top section of your profile, what goes there, how to set it up. We talk through a lot of examples. We do a lot of show and tell. And then day two is live coaching and hot seats. So, this is 60-minute session. So each of these sessions are 60 minutes. Usually I go over though, as I am today. I tend to get going and I get excited. So sometimes we go over, but it's supposed to be 60 minutes each day. And day two is really about all the questions you have. So if you've been kind of like, Mindy, I'm trying to figure out LinkedIn. I don't know what my strategy is. I'm trying to figure out connection invitations, or maybe you've tried messaging and you don't know what works, what doesn't. These are open ended. So we do focus on the LinkedIn profile in the workshop sessions, but the live coaching and hot seats, you can bring any type of LinkedIn question that you would like business questions to these sessions. So they're pretty free flowing and open ended. Day three, we focus on optimizing your about section. So, how do you create a really engaging story and what to do with your experiences? So, I have step by step templates for that about section. So, you do not have a blank page. You do not have to figure out how to use all 2,600 characters. You'll see a lot of examples, and we'll walk through each section together. Then, day four, again, live coaching and hot seats. You can work on your LinkedIn profile, work on your strategy, whatever you would like to bring to that session. And then day five, we focus on jazzing up your LinkedIn profile with all the extras. So making your profile look amazing with all of the extras, like we talk about publications and volunteer and courses, and really like some of the things are not top of mind, but they just make your profile look very put together. So that's how we bring it all home in that final session. And then we celebrate, you did it. So 5 days together where focus on the LinkedIn profile and also answering all of your LinkedIn questions. So again, the LinkedIn Accelerator small group training program, 5 daily live coaching sessions, and they are happening January 30th. So that is next Monday. Next Monday through Friday, so February 3rd, and step by step profile creation to building your network. So there are videos, there are audios, PDF guides, swipe files, templates, and you also have direct access to me all week long. And people love that because if you have a question you don't feel comfortable answering in class, I'm on the emails. I send Loom videos if like video recordings if you need step-by-step instructions. If you want feedback, private, or you want to bring it into the small group setting and get other people's opinions, it is just a really, really good, focused, laser-focused environment to get it done. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I need to do my LinkedIn profile. It's like, okay, we'll put it on the calendar and get it done. And we'll do it all together. And I have changes I got to make to my profile too. So I get in there and get my hands dirty too. And we work on everything together. And then with the program, you will also get some bonuses. So, bonus number one, Sales Navigators Superstars training. So, if you are curious about using Sales Navigator, which is a premium version of LinkedIn, it is a really good tool if you are prospecting and looking for your prospects on LinkedIn. There are some training videos in here to help you decide whether or not you need it. Also gives you like a sneak peek and what it looks like on the inside if you want to give it a try. So Sales Navigators is really, really helpful for helping you determine whether or not you need Sales Navigator and then how to easily get started with it if you do need it. So please remember, nothing I've shared with you today is theory or fluff that might work. I've actually taken more than 100 other experts just like you during the last 12 months through this program to optimize their profiles and land their next client or dream job. It works. And I don't mess with the format because people love it. And it is just very powerful, very focused, and we do it together. So, bonus number two, you will get, again, instant access to that Sales Navigator Superstars training to help you learn how to find those opportunities we were talking about today. Plus, you will also get instant access to my high converting LinkedIn connection swipe files. This is where a lot of people get stuck on LinkedIn because they don't know what to say in a connection invitation. So I have a bunch of examples of what is working now on LinkedIn that you can just swipe and you can just adjust them to what makes sense for you, what makes sense for your audience, but you will have an idea of what's working. You will get behind the scenes. I do this for a lot of clients like done for you services where we send lots of connection invitations that are tailored for specific prospects. So that's where these LinkedIn swipe files are coming from. They're coming from my actual clients and what actually works for them. And then also there is a bonus. So if you are curious, I mentioned it today when I was looking at the profiles, Jackie's and Suzanne's. I told them to create a LinkedIn page. So there is a specific training in there that will teach you how to create an engaging LinkedIn page for your company inside the program too. So that is on demand. You can watch that at your leisure and get started on creating your LinkedIn page. So let's recap what you're getting. So the LinkedIn Accelerator program, 5-day sprint, LinkedIn profile and network. That is our focus. Then you get bonus number one, which is the Sales Navigator Superstars training that helps you find those opportunities, figure out how to use Sales Navigator. Bonus number two is the high converting connection swipe files. And then the LinkedIn, bonus number three, LinkedIn Pages Optimization Masterclass. And I guess if you add that all up, $1,488. Okay, there's the value, total value. So what does it actually cost? $297 flat, 297 to get into the program. So it is one payment of 297. If you're interested, go ahead and go to mindyrosser.com/enroll, and you'll see a button that says click here, and that will take you to the beautiful sales page, right? We all have those big long sales pages with all the details, so you can look at that at your leisure. But head over there and hop into the program. I do limit it to 20 people, so the first 20 people, and then I shut it down. But you will have till Thursday, this Thursday, on January, let's see, that's January 26th at midnight Eastern, to make a decision on whether you want to hop in or not, or if you want to, just take the master class today and say that was good enough. So here's what you'll get when you join us inside. Again, exactly how to use LinkedIn. I really want people to come away from the accelerator feeling confident about how to use LinkedIn. How does it work? How does my profile work? How do I update these different things? What makes sense? Do I have to post every day? Do I not? What type of strategy should I use? My goal is during those 5 days for you to just go, okay, Mindy, I know what to do. Thank you so much. I'm off to the races on LinkedIn. And you feel empowered that you have the toolkit available and you have the confidence that you have cultivated through that week together. Also, getting found on LinkedIn by the people who matter. That is really, really important too. And I want you to not feel scared and terrified by like what goes into each section on your LinkedIn profile. So there are fill in the blank templates to help you tell a captivating story and not feel like you're just like beating your chest, bragging on yourself. It's really about connecting with people and connecting with your audience, making them feel seen and heard while also telling your story, and then putting yourself out there in a way that feels good, connecting without feeling pushy, building that vibrant, engaged network, learning all those do's and don'ts of LinkedIn, and really getting ROI, because there's no point in doing LinkedIn unless you are getting a return on your investment. And a lot of people waste a lot of time because they don't know what to do or what order to do it in on LinkedIn. So just having that framework and that confidence to go out there and say, okay, I know why I'm doing what on LinkedIn and how I'm going to get this all done. So again, one payment of $297, mindyrosser.com/enroll, and you can hop right in to the LinkedIn Accelerator. So it doesn't matter if you're completely new to LinkedIn. I've had a lot of people say, Mindy, I'm not quite sure. I'm new. It's really about taking action and taking the right next action for you, whether that's implementing what you learned today in the workshop, or it's like, okay, Mindy, I'm ready. I'm ready to spend 5 days. Let's get my LinkedIn dialed in for the year, and I'm off to the races in 2023. And this is Tanya. Tanya went through the program and she's like, yeah, I really wasn't convinced like LinkedIn was actually good for me, but after going through the program, I really had a change of perspective. And Tanya is fantastic. Like the way that she uses her network is very, very strategic. And she may not be the flashiest person on LinkedIn, but watching how her network has grown and hearing about the relationships she is building within her industry is really, really powerful. And because she went through the program, she experienced those results and knows how to use LinkedIn in a way that works for her. So you might feel curious, or you might be a little bit frustrated and you're still wondering, I don't know whether or not using LinkedIn is really going to help me, build my business. I really want to get ROI. Or maybe you've put in a ton of time into LinkedIn and you just don't have much to show for it. You're like, do I have to do more on LinkedIn? I don't know. I'm just kind of frustrated with LinkedIn at the moment. This is Diane, and she was very frustrated, but she is actually, I would call her a power user on LinkedIn. The way that she uses LinkedIn is really inspiring. And she said she came away with, action-packed days, videos, downloads, handouts, tips, exercises, and lots of feedback. And she finally felt like she could pull together her strategy, which that is powerful. When you know why you're on LinkedIn and you know why you're doing what you're doing, that makes all the difference because no longer are you spinning your wheels. You know where you're headed and you know why you're headed there, and you know what to expect along the way. You know what types of results you can expect to get when you put in the effort. And that is key. Stop spinning your wheels on LinkedIn. It's figuring out how to build those relationships with the people who matter that will actually lead to those opportunities either now or in the future. So maybe you're ready for more. You're like, yeah, LinkedIn, I'm ready. I'm like all about this, Mindy. We've been talking and I'm like super excited about LinkedIn. I know it's the right place for me and I just need to figure out how to pull it all together. Okay, cool. You're in the right spot because that's what we're doing. And if you have doubts, you want to use LinkedIn to get your next opportunity, but you're feeling overwhelmed, here's Adolpha. Adolpha was really overwhelmed and really didn't know exactly where to start with LinkedIn. I wasn't sure exactly how she was going to use it. But like I said, when she actually put together her profile and she started getting visits to her page and people reaching out to her, she said, Mindy, this actually works. Like, I don't have to do a bunch of like hustling. People are coming to me. And that's because she did a really good job of telling her story. She put into action. She did not sit on the sidelines. It took a little bit of work, it took some figuring out, but she actually made steps forward and felt empowered to do it in the LinkedIn Accelerator. So again, LinkedIn Accelerator, one payment, $297, mindyrosser.com/enroll. And a couple more testimonials. Mindy's course is hands down the best LinkedIn course and only one that teaches you how to find more B2B clients. I like this one too. I sent a connection invitation to my ideal prospect during Mindy's class, and I was terrified. But within one day, that person responded that she wanted to collaborate. That warms my heart because to me, it's not just about using LinkedIn and mining it to make money. It's like, okay, that's good. It is a side benefit. It's why we're there, but the relationships that come while you are working LinkedIn, while you are figuring out your strategy, while you are building those relationships, that's where LinkedIn is very different from other platforms. It's not like putting ads on Facebook. It's not like putting ads on Instagram. It is where you are building real relationships. You actually get to know people in your network. You're hopping on Zoom calls and meeting people, which I think is super, super cool. You're looking for synergy. So LinkedIn is a really special place. It's just learning how to use it well. And when you do that, the sky's the limit. Like you can become like a mega influencer on LinkedIn if you want. You can be that person that's, making lots of deals behind the scenes and racks in the DMs and has a lot of fun doing it in the process. So it's all up to you. LinkedIn is a really, really neat place. And I'm here. I'm here for you. And I want you to feel supported on this journey. Whether or not you decide to hop into the accelerator, I'm still here. Like, you can reach out to me, you can DM me anytime, you can ask me questions. But I just wanted to offer this as an opportunity to get it done. Because for some of us, at least for me, it's like you put something on the calendar and you're like, all right, I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm finally doing this. All right, cool. And there's people around you that are on the same path and doing it, and you don't get lost. Like, it's not like a mega program. There's only 20 of us or less in there, and we are all getting to know each other. And it's a really, really supportive environment. All right, so I will leave it there and let me see what questions have come through in the chat. And if anyone has to hop off, thank you so much for coming. I will try to answer them too, and you can come back to the questions if you need to. All right, let me just scan through. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. Suzanne, do you think the accelerator program would also be helpful for all UGC creators who are hoping to connect with brand decision makers on LinkedIn? Yes, I do think it would be really, really helpful because you are out there connecting with people. And so your LinkedIn profile actually needs to look a certain way to attract the right creators as well. So I think, yes, for sure. I think that would be a really good strategy is to get your LinkedIn profile looking good. And then also, I think your connection invitation is going to be important because you are reaching out to connect with those brand decision makers. So you want to make sure that your profile and your connection invitations and what you're sending, your messaging and strategy actually match. A lot of people will do one and not the other, and it kind of falls flat. So the two need to go hand in hand, and we do cover that in the accelerator. Um, okay. Lisa, for the 5-day course, is it full time next week, 8 hours each day? No, it is not. So each session is 60 minutes. So we meet Monday through Friday for 60 minutes, and we'll be meeting at, make sure I'm saying the correct time zones. I have it written down 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific every single day, Monday through Friday. So if you can't make it live to any of the sessions too, then it is fine. You can catch the replay. I've had some people that, they were on a business trip and they still wanted to get the material but weren't able to show up live. And then they would just send me questions after the sessions or between sessions, and I would follow up with them asynchronously. So if you can't make it during that one slot each day, that's completely fine too. You can catch it in the replay, and I upload them right away after each session. All right, Suzanne, do you also share your content strategy in the accelerator, like how often to post, go live, etc.? Yes, I do. And I will share resources in the accelerator as well with my content strategy. So on the hot seat sessions days, that's the days that you want to come, like Tuesday and Thursday, and bring your questions. Like, Mindy, okay, you mentioned content strategy. You said you had some templates. Like, can you share some of that with us? And then it's also helpful for me to know what you're doing currently. So then I can provide individualized feedback as well and suggestions based on what has worked and hasn't worked. And yeah, I have a lot of extra resources and goodies that I share inside there too. It just depends on each cohort. Everybody's different in what they want to learn. So I have, like, from content to social selling, to messaging, connections, networking, all of that good stuff. All right. Deanna, is this updated from the training you bought last year? Yes, it is updated in some ways, Deanna. There is, if you are a returning alumni, there is a discount. There's a 50% discount. So if you want to hop back in, you can hop back in. But yeah, I'm going to be covering a little bit more on the content side of things. And then there are some sections on LinkedIn that have been changed a little bit since last year. So there'll be some updates, but a lot of it will be similar to what you went through last year too. Lisa, do you think that a LinkedIn Premium account is essential to succeed on LinkedIn? No, it is not. I have a lot of opinions on LinkedIn Premium accounts. It just depends on why you're using LinkedIn. If you are using LinkedIn to do a lot of prospecting, you're researching, you're trying to find your ideal prospects, if you're going to use something like a sales navigator, it is really helpful and it makes that process so much easier. But if you don't need emails, if you're like, Mindy, I already have a list of all the people I need to reach out to, it's literally just looking them up and I see their profile and I'm sending them a connection invitation. You don't need a premium account. It does not make your profile look any different, except for, you see the LinkedIn premium little kind of icon on the profile. But other than that, it doesn't change how your profile looks at all. So it is not essential. And I only recommend it if you're doing a lot of prospecting or you really want to use the emails. All right, let's see what other questions. Let's see if anything else. Oh, Suzanne, you asked, is Sales Navigator or Premium an integral part of the accelerator? No, I don't even really talk about it that much during the accelerator, except when people bring up questions related to Sales Navigator. I would say the majority of people who come into the accelerator do not have Sales Navigator. I'd say probably 10 to 15% of them have a Sales Navigator account and are pretty savvy with it or are trying to learn how to be savvy with it. The majority of people do not. So we do not focus a ton of attention on that. And you definitely do not need a paid LinkedIn account to hop into the accelerator. All right. Any other questions? There is a lot of information on the sales page too. So if you don't have it, I will also pop it into the chat too. So if any of you want to go directly there, you can. If you have additional questions too and you didn't feel comfortable asking them publicly, shoot me a DM. If you have questions or you're like, Mindy, I don't know about this inside the accelerator, or I've done this, or I just, you want to talk to me privately, that's completely fine. You can also email me. So I'll put my email into the chat as well. If you prefer email, you can email me directly and ask questions about this as well. All right. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay. I think I got all of them. All right. I think we're all good. So check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you have additional questions or even just LinkedIn in general, again, like I'm here for you along your journey, no matter whether you hop into the accelerator or it's not the right fit or not the right time for you. The next time, I did get a question about this. The next time that it will be opening is going to likely be the fall of 2023. So it will be about 6 months. I guess it's longer than 6 months, 6 to 8 months thereabouts before I open the doors again. So if you're going to hop in and you want to get it done at the beginning of the year, now is a really good time to do it. If you can't, again, if you can't attend live and you just want to have access to the replays, you can also, people who go through the accelerator also can reach out to me afterwards. If you're really busy next week, you're like, Mindy, I wish I could hop in, but the timing is kind of tricky. If I hop in and I'm not able to message you during that week, can I message you after that week? Yes, you can. I'm always here. I'm always here for my alumni and accelerators. Like, you have a very special place in my heart. You can always reach out anytime. So I do want to make sure that you feel supported and have everything that you need to get that profile looking good and put together your LinkedIn strategy. All right. Well, I will end it there. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the week and have fun. Hopefully, you implement some of the stuff on LinkedIn and put some of those profile hacks into action. Are the replays, Natalie? I see it. Are the replays lifetime access? Yes, they are lifetime access. So there are people that have been through, let's see, 2 years ago, and they still have access to their LinkedIn training. So, yes, they are lifetime access. Not planning to take them down anytime soon. So, yes, you will have lifetime access to them. And then another fun thing for alumni, you also get invited to specific events like throughout the year. I invite all the alumni to workshops, usually about once a quarter, once every 4 to 6 months, thereabouts, where we have a special guest presenter and we talk about, topics related to LinkedIn, business growth, even like accounting and like how to scale your business and profit margins. So we have a lot of fun guests throughout the year. So once you've been through the accelerator, you're kind of part of the alumni, and we have fun things that pop up throughout the year. So, yes, okay. If you have additional questions, hit me up on LinkedIn, shoot me an email, and this replay will be up too. So if you want to review it for anything, it'll be on YouTube. I'll also send out the link via email, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, so you'll be able to see it there as well. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for showing up. I will see you all later. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day, beautiful rest of your week. Bye for now.